Sweet and bitter water.
It was not God who blinded the eyes of disobedient men to not see or believe in the message of God that is divulged by his arm, his Christ. It is the enemy of the cross of Christ who did this, in order to prevent us from believing in the spiritual mother, and so that we would not honor the spiritual parents, which is the most important commandment of God, and thus overcome death. The enemy has done this to stop his empire of death from being snatched from him. That is why, when you read that the enemy blinded their eyes, it is not referring to physical blindness. It means that their ability to see in their mind was clouded with its message of lies, making them believe that God is a solitary God who has no wife. God the Father does not promote a message different from that of Christ. No, they always speak the same message of truth, that God our Father and Mother, and that they have spiritual children. This means that from the mouth of Christ does not come forth both sweet and bitter water. That is why it says that from the same spring there cannot flow both sweet and bitter water. MelquisedecLisbet only speaks what man needs to hear to be able to overcome the destruction and death that dominates them, because that is what God the Father has instructed her to do. She has made known to them the truth of God the Father and Mother so that they can be liberated from death of sin. Therefore, start listening only to the beautiful voice of God, MelquisedecLisbet, so that you can conquer the destruction and death that is in you, and so you can see beautiful changes, both in your spiritual body and in your physical body. Because if the inner man is not renewed with the eternal wisdom, which is the good news of God's heaven that MelquisedecLisbet reveals, your outer man will continue to wear out. In other words, if you do not change your old way of living and do not accept the truth exposed before you by Christ herself, you will continue on the course to where all mortal men go. MelquisedecLisbet has come to save us from the destruction and physical death, but if we do not allow ourselves to be helped by her, the ideal helper that God made for man, there will be no one to help us. Because, without God the Father and Mother, man is alone and needs Christ in order not to perish. Don't waste any more time and learn from the wisdom of God's heaven, MelquisedecLisbet, so that you don't die. If you're hearing this message, you still have time. Amen.